Oh, sorry. So we have a quorum now, so we can start the official meeting. Take it away, Chair Tim.
Okay, I call the meeting in the to North Plains Library Board to order.
For the record, at 6:04.
6:04. First thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
We have a little flag now that I purchased our meetings in here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next thing is roll call. Chair Tim Shalleck's here.
Bridget Sorensen.
Ex officio Russ Sheldon.
Donna Medica.
And Robin Doty, Library Director, is present. Also, just will mention that Larry and Allie are absent and excused. And we have one other individual here this evening.
Emily West.
Emily West. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Nandu. I didn't mean to skip you. Oh my goodness.
Sorry. It's okay.
Yeah. Nandu is here and Emily is here.
Okay. So everybody has a chance to review the agenda. Any changes or deletions? Had a chance to review the minutes from July 17th. Any questions, changes, or additions?
I move that we approve both the agenda and the minutes.
So you can move to approve the consent agenda. So you can move to approve the consent agenda, and that covers both. It's okay.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
I second.
Donna seconds. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. We move on to public comment. Any
Public. Okay.
no public present, no public comment over the desk of the library.
I have not gotten any notice in advance of public comment and we have no public present.
Okay. So our next agenda item is the library director's report.
Okay. I didn't print the whole packet, so we're trying to have a little less paper. Oops. This was okay. Well, you all, I think I let all of you know about my honor of being the Grand Marshal of the Garlic Festival Parade. That was really fun. Thanks to Donna, who walked with us in the parade. And it was neat. The library got to be in front of the parade, or near the front. We're usually further back, so that was an honor for us. We really enjoyed it. Emily decorated my hat.
And carried the bubble machine.
Carried the bubble machine, yes. Emily is always in our parade. She's a celebrity among the youth of North Plains, and so it's pretty cool. She probably should have been in the car instead of me.
There's always next year.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Unless you have any questions, I mean, my report was pretty short this year and we have a lot of other things, but our summer reading signups were up 19% over last year. And we had the decision to hire a seasonal program assistant was hugely helpful for us. I don't know what we would have done without that help. And it was really cool to have someone who's at Folly Ridge teacher work for us in the summer, because so many kids who came and knew her, because she worked in the library at Folly Ridge before, and now she'll be a first grade teacher. So it was really a win-win for everyone. And it was great.
Okay. Any questions in the library report, director's report? Okay, well, the library statistics from July.
Yeah, so this kind of surprised me. It's the first time in a long time we've had a small dip in checkouts. It's possible that more people were traveling this year in July with the Thursday holiday. We're not sure, but in any case, we had more visitors.
Yeah, that's.
It's
an
so interesting when that happens. For a long time, our visitors had been below pre-pandemic, and not really going up at the same rate as the checkouts. People had switched to digital for some things, but we certainly got a lot of visitors in July, and I bet the car show had something to do with that. We participated in the car show. Emily was there working in front of the library, and a lot of people came in just because they were in North Plains to see cars. Would you say, Emily?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was a very, very busy, lovely, chaotic, fun weekend. Yeah.
And also, weren't they doing the fine,
Someone looks like it's
the worm guy? The,
well, we had a mascot from the Hops. Is that what
Yes.
you mean?
Wallace.
The book club.
Oh, Wallace. Yes, we had Wallace, the race car
Because they were
craft.
going throughout all the different libraries in Washington County. trying to
Yes.
find
Yeah.
The different
You're
Wallaces
right.
around.
Yep, it was a different sticker at each library.
Yeah, because I noticed when I was around that there was a lot of people coming in just to get their sticker.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
happened all summer for sure.
Very popular.
Yeah. But otherwise, nothing else of note on the statistics.
Any questions on the statistics? Okay, we'll go on to the countywide statistics.
Sure. So I like to show you sort of where we stack up in the cooperative. And so, there are a few other libraries that had a little dip. I don't know. It's like I said, hard to say why. There's some little fluctuations, but
It's our first dip, and
it really is.
I think even since I've been on the board, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
We have been leading the pack.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a trend. I mean, I think it's just a summer thing.
We'll definitely keep a watch on it.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on the countywide statistics? Okay, well, the financial report or finance report?
Oh, sorry. Well, I was gonna just show the online checkouts.
Oh,
You can kind of see the breakdown of that. So, we have about what is it? About 2/3 of the amount of physical items are digital. Okay, that was it. That was the only other thing. I just sort of watched that ratio because it's a good data point for me because it helps inform schedule staffing and things like that of how much of our checkouts are in person physical items versus digital.
oh, okay.
How has it been running? Is it usually about that same ratio?
Countywide, it's close to 50-50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But this is about typical for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Polaris is the online checkout, right? Or am I
No, Polaris is the physical items.
over the desk?
Mhm.
And the
Overdrive is the
okay.
digital. Mhm.
Okay.
So it's just interesting to see trends and so forth. There was a big spike in digital use during the pandemic, and then it didn't go back down to previous. It stayed up. It went down a little and then plateaued.
People grew accustomed to
Sure.
Mhm.
accessing the.
There's certain conveniences.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay, I've got a question that has nothing to do with North Plains. What is the Tiger Lockers at the bottom there?
Oh, that's new. They are piloting Olds pickup lockers that are,
After hours kind of thing, or not even.
they're in the lobby, so I think it's still just during open hours, but they're piloting, trying them out. They may be like Hillsborough where they have some hours that the lobby's open before the rest of the building.
Oh, so you can go get the book out of that locker in some manner?
Mhm. So that's a technology that, WCCLS hasn't used before, but could be a neat way to bring holds into neighborhoods or something, for example. At a park or something like that.
Mhm. Okay.
I didn't mean to get us stuck on that, but thank you. It's
question.
interesting.
Very good question. I would have missed that. Yeah, finance,
Sure. Our budget is well, it's tracking well. We keep an internal spreadsheet of our expenses. Our finance department is working really hard and is a little behind in journal entries, which will change soon with a new accountant who's starting next month. We have a very experienced accountant starting for the city. Her name's Kristen Gerhart, and she's coming to us from the MAC Association, which is the net. I always forget what MAC stands for.
Metropolitan Area Communications
Area
Commission.
Communications
Okay,
Commission.
yes, yes.
This person knows because I was like, yeah, right. I want to say Metro and then it throws me off. Metropolitan. Okay. So we're very excited to have that amount of expertise in the city to help with take back over payroll, help with audits, and get us sort of caught up with a few things.
So did the year get closed out June 30th, or that's still open?
Well, I'm afraid I don't know how to answer that exactly, but for our purposes, we track. So for example, utilities haven't been posted. So we tried to, Eric helps me with the budget tracking. And so he tried to do an estimate to see, we just tried to estimate I think actually we didn't input the library utilities. There's just a few things missing, and if it's a bill that we get from the city, that's why. But as far as materials we purchase or purchases we make with our city credit cards, Eric puts that all in our internal spreadsheet so we can track in real time what we've spent, and we have consistently done well with our budgets since I've been director. I'm sure before Will did a great job too, but we're within budget. Our spreadsheet still shows, like I've told you before, grant spending, right? Because we didn't budget that. We received a big grant last fiscal year that we're spending this our last budget cycle that we're spending this budget cycle and that kind of thing. So, but everything is good with our budget. I keep a close eye on it.
any other questions on the finance report?
No.
And we're on a 2-year cycle, so we won't rebudget till a year from, start a new budget a year from August 1st.
July 1st. Right. Yeah.
Okay, move on to ongoing business, the Washington County Cooperative funding.
Yay! This is so exciting for me. I have to say, I get really excited about data. I'm a weirdo that way. So last week at Aloha, the executive board, which is the city managers and library directors, had a work session with the consultant to go over the community survey results. So they are working on a summarized, and this is actually summarized. I mean, but they're working on a more condensed version to share out with all our electeds. By the way, please, I appreciate your volunteering for this, and I'm providing you some snacks, so please feel free to dig in. I didn't ever say that. But this just shows you how much people pay attention to the library. Is that the goal was 5,000 responses for this survey.
Okay.
You know, when you do a survey, you want
Thank you.
a certain amount for it to be statistically relevant, you know, a certain percentage of your household. We had 18,290 responses to our community survey. 5,000 was the goal. That was more than triple the goal. So
That was
even it was very impressive, and even the consultant guy who does the like really complex data stuff and is very stoic, he even like had this like, oh my gosh, he does so many responses. He even was briefly excited. It's amazing. So for the library staff survey, I don't know exactly how many staff work in the cooperative network, but we had 344 staff responses.
Did we count in the staff? No.
No, you were an external stakeholder. There were 75 external stakeholder responses. That's governing boards, city council, governing bodies, boards, friends, boards, and that type of thing. And then we also had an additional survey for community-based organizations. And I want to call out Brianna for promoting that here in North Plains. There were 39 responses overall, and both North Plains Elementary Schools, the North Plains Food Pantry. We had our community-based organizations participated, so that was really wonderful to see us listed out. That's proud. So of those responses, I'm just going to go over a few highlights that I think were especially interesting. 67% of the people who filled it out used the library both physically and digitally. 22% only used the library for physical resources, and only 5% only use online.
Oh,
That was interesting to me.
yeah.
It's like either both or hard books only, and then a few are online only. And then 6% of people who filled it out are non-users, which is about very valuable data that we want, because we want to find out more about people who don't use the library and kind
I
of
wonder how they reached them.
well,
They tried many ways.
that I don't know if you saw so a postcard went to every household in Washington County.
Yeah.
WCCLS paid for a direct mailer to every household, and half of them, they did 2 different printings, and half of them was win $50, and they got 87% more people for that postcard than the other postcards. It was with the incentive, you know, that was really interesting too, because so it was you could win, and that
No, we could not win.
well,
Right.
I mean,
How unfair is that?
It said
You
board-
had
it
to-
said board members could.
yeah, and I mean, at the bottom of the community survey, you did have to put in some info in order to win. And I just, obviously, I did fill it out. Our household filled it out as users. You know, we have Cedar Mill Libraries, our home library. I didn't fill it out. I'm like, we're not eligible. I don't know. That wouldn't be, but that incentive helped.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty neat. Good little thing.
And so overall, the people who use the library, I think the library is great, essential, excellent. I mean, you know, how much do you agree to strongly agree or agree for that RWC says libraries provide excellent service, add value to the community, are essential to the community, are part of the identity. That was a little less important to the community identity, but a point of pride for the community. It was,
But
you
that's
know,
all the
I can
community.
pass that around. That was
That's
like
not-
strongly.
Not North Plains, that's all the community.
This is, these are people from all households in Washington County.
Yeah, so
So
the
when-
identity might be stronger in North Plains.
I am told that we will get our North Plains data,
Oh,
Okay,
that they were able to,
'Cause
but
this
we
is
don't have it.
overall.
This is overall, we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
But that's something that we don't have a data analyst, you know, in-house that could. So this is also gonna be really informative for us and how we do outreach and services, so. And then staff survey, I won't go over that part so much, but I mean, all staff agreed or strongly agreed that public libraries add value to the community. Good, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a sliver of like neutral. I'm like, come on, who was that?
wherever they are, go find another job.
No. Right. So our community partner survey responses, I put a little star by ones that either have worked with us or, you know, are in North Plains or work with North Plains, but I was really impressed at the participation from North Plains organizations, from the community partner survey, and the community partners.
On a library budget 1.1.
What was that, Nandu?
What'd you say?
Did you try to say something, Nandu, or was that a background?
No, that was a background.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna stop sharing the screen in case.
No.
Okay. So the community partners especially appreciate our educational programs and story times, access to resources and spaces, outreach and community partnerships, digital and technology access, and our specialized collection services. And so this survey is to inform our current state of things, and you know, part of this, the first part of this funding and governance project is determine what is the current state, what are we providing, and how much does it cost? And then and so they went back over the methodology of sort of our service populations, what is considered our service area as far as the cooperative is concerned, and how many people are we the closest library for, and how many people could get to our library in 15 minutes. So they used a few different, they didn't just use one population measurement. They used three, and it's really interesting to see the differences. But they just reviewed that because then they were talking about our
The population.
it is, but it's not gonna
Tell you anything?
Yeah, it's just kind of explaining, going into the next part. We'll go over some things in more detail, but
Okay.
if you basically a lot more people can get to our library in 15 minutes than our service area encompasses, but for people that we're the closest library for and our service area are about the same amount of people.
Oh, okay.
So
it's a wash.
for that, yeah, but there are people who can get to our library in 15 minutes, you know, that aren't outside of our service area. We have some things that as an executive board, we agreed were priorities. And so we want to see how we measured up to these priorities. And that's what the community survey was all about. They also interviewed the library directors and city managers, well, just library director here, for some of the things too. So we did find out from people, we asked why people don't use the library for those non-users. And so the answers that we got were that they prefer other means of accessing the service the library offers. So that was the number one answer for that. And the number two was they don't have the time and or resources to access the library services. And then the third highest was I don't know if libraries offer anything I need.
Then they are, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was really interesting.
The first one didn't make, there's
If-
nothing we offer here that
Well,
they could use.
well, they just prefer other means of accessing the services the library offers. So these are non-users that are filling it out. What they think we offer and what we actually offer may be different.
Definitely.
They
Yeah.
may think the library just have books. I get my books from
Amazon.
Amazon, or, yeah, and I don't have time, but I don't have time or resources to access the library is something we want to keep an eye on. That is people who don't have time and resources to access a free, service is, that could be a marginalized group or something.
Well, I could see that. I mean, I know people that live on Pumpkin Ridge that unless somebody drives them down, they would have no way to get down here.
Right. So there can be transportation
Yeah.
issues. There can be just, you're working multiple jobs, you're too busy.
Not open when they're not working, yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you ask any language questions?
Oh yeah, just wait. I don't wanna, let's see, what time is it? I better do a time check on myself.
6:30.
Okay. I won't keep you here too long, Emily, but I figured you'd be interested in all this.
Oh, I am really interested. This is right up our alley, so I need to hear it.
Okay, good. So, what would have to change to make you more likely to use in-person library services? And the number one thing was knowing more about library services. Okay, this is very aligned with I will say our staffing reorganization or changes that we're making with our staffing. Having our volunteer coordinator position a little bit changed to be a community engagement specialist, really focusing on that community engagement piece. And then adding more resources to early literacy specialist, which also has an outreach component. We are working towards helping more people know about what the library offers. So I was concerned to see it, but pleased to know that we are positioning ourselves to address this already, even before we saw it. And then some people just said none of the above would change their decision to use the library. That was the second most. And then people said more classes and events that meet their needs could be something. So those were the top three there. With online and digital services, why don't you use the library's online and digital services? Number one, I don't know if libraries offer anything I need. Was number one again. So that's an opportunity, right? And then number two is I don't have the time and or resources to access library services. Maybe I don't have time to read. I don't have, maybe it's just not a priority for individuals. So
Yeah, with digital, that's an interesting, it would be that you definitely have time to check something out. And you would have the resources if you're online.
If you have access to the internet.
To the
Right.
internet.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you don't, then that would be an issue. But if you have those two things. You
And a
fall
device
back that I
too,
just don't have
device
time
keys.
to read, which
Yeah.
is understandable.
We certainly want to find out more.
And they probably don't know we have DVDs.
Oh,
They may not have time to read, but they have time for a movie,
Yep.
you know?
and then I will say that the partner surveys and the staff surveys were aligned on that more community education on library services would help people use library more or encourage people to use library more.
How did you think our vision or strategic plan lined up with what the information that you're getting here?
I think we should take a look at that, against our goals, but overall, I think we are well aligned with the goals that we're doing. We may want to look at some of the activities under some of our goals, focusing more on community, educating the community on what we offer, you know,
Okay, so that's a,
literacy and learning goal,
Mhm.
but be an activity under that goal.
so that would be something for a future business or something that
Sure.
we should keep in our minds for an agenda item there.
Yes, I'll make a note of that, Chair. Sorry. Future. And Emily has some credentials in strategic planning, especially for government agencies, and will be telling you a little more about how she'll be assisting in her new role too.
Okay.
That's on the agenda. Future strategic. Okay. Overall, people think the library is a safe place. Everyone surveyed, and okay, so this is the part that that was really struck me, was that they did a kind of a scatter dot graph of, they used the social vulnerability index, and that is a nationwide index that applies certain criteria. It's kind of like points for if you check a box, you have a point. And so the higher your score, the more social vulnerability you experience on this index. They used a nationwide one. I think Metro also has one, but they used a nationwide one in case we want to benchmark against other states or whatever. But sadly, what was clear from the mapping is that more social vulnerability, less library use. Mm-hmm. So that is, a clear opportunity for equity, and type work. That how could the people who need the library the most use the library more? And so that did show up in every sector of the social vulnerability index that occurred, was less library use, higher vulnerability.
So on these ones that went out to everybody, they asked about?
No. Oh,
Where
yes,
did they
thank
get-
you. So they
where
use
did they
the
get
census
those?
tracts. They use the census data. So they use the census tracts to apply the social vulnerability index to households, because the census does ask those questions.
Like,
Language. So that some of the examples of the social vulnerability index items are socioeconomic status, racial and ethnic minority status, housing type, and transportation options, and language other than English, who speak English less than well. So those are census.
so those are the ones that based the social vulnerability on this.
Correct. Those are the social vulnerability index factors. They can, from the census data, they applied those to our population, and then they mapped it then they saw who's a library card user and who isn't. Because we have information on library card holders and active library card users, we have their address.
Right, and that's what they were using. Okay, so for like me, I would be vulnerable because I live up the hill. I don't have any transportation down here. That
Yeah.
would be a check mark. in my
Yeah,
list.
so if you, yeah, if one of these criterias was checked for your address, you would be a dot. Or
Okay,
if
and
these
then,
are, these dots are census tracts, the whole
So
census
you
tract.
really
but-
have to go back to the census.
right,
Yeah.
See what questions
Yeah.
they
yes,
ask.
yeah,
But what they
In
were,
order for you to figure out.
Really,
how they
yeah.
came up with it.
I'll pass that one around.
All right,
think
thanks,
it's
that
interesting.
would,
And this is the
that
other.
would sort of be my.
would have to, because.
Yeah.
When I guess it's been a while since I took a census thing, they asked how much money you made?
Oh, yeah.
Do they, it's been a while, there should be one coming up, shouldn't there? Pretty soon.
It'll be 2030.
Just have them 20.
Geez, we
just-
just had
Yeah,
one.
2020.
We just 2020.
Yeah.
So they took the,
One of the controversies.
Yeah,
so then they make assumptions.
So they put a dot for each census tract and they put where on the social vulnerability index that census tract.
Oh, I
And
see.
then they put percentage with active library card.
Okay,
And so then that,
Right.
if it was up here,
yeah,
they had more active library cards.
Mm.
And then more socially vulnerables this way.
okay, all right.
So,
thanks.
and then they did a scatter graph and you could see that trend was.
Right.
so what I'm hearing that say is if you live in town, you make a decent wage. You speak English and you're white,
You would
You-
not
you-
have
you
a,
would
you would
be-
have a low social
but
vulnerability
if you
score.
lived a mile out of town,
That
you
only
spoke-
counts if they ask that question on this, on the census.
but it would have your address.
They just have your address, right?
And
Yeah.
if you were working at McDonald's and trying to raise your family and English was your second language, that would be.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, which
You
kind of
would
makes
have a
sense
higher
because
Mhm.
if you
social
have a
vulnerability.
low income, you don't have easy transportation,
Mhm.
you just don't have the time to get in here.
Well, that's the thing, you know, time is something that is definitely a
The
consideration,
one thing that one cannot increase.
correct?
Right,
Yes. So,
Thank you, but you can't make more time.
you can make more free time
Yeah.
by working
Yes.
smarter.
so this is some preliminary data and I thought it was really, really interesting and again, I feel like we are working towards. I haven't, as the director here, I haven't put more resources towards back of the house work. I've put more resources towards community facing work and that I feel like is a good, we certainly have a lot of back of the house work. We do, you know, we select materials, we plan, we write, we do website work, social, you know, we have work that we do behind the scenes, but we try to maximize as much community interaction time as possible.
I'm supportive of that.
Great. Very good. I think it's aligned with our strategic goals and everything. So I wonder, never mind. I shouldn't change the agenda in the middle of the meeting. You're the chair. Okay.
Okay, so if you want to,
It was a good segue, but that's okay.
yeah, do you want to bring?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Do you want to come in, Emily, so
I
you
mean-
can go enjoy wherever you are?
Yes, I'm joining you from beautiful, well, it's dark now. I almost said sunny Destin, Florida.
Okay. Well, we'll make a little
Working.
change in the agenda and bring you on,
Oh, well,
Well,
thank you so much.
if
Yeah.
that's okay.
We're an ongoing business and so we can just go proceed. I mean, it's just
Okay.
like 2 things down.
Okay.
Oh, it's fine.
So friends
I'm
of
here
the,
for the long
well,
run.
we have friends of the
Yeah.
Friends of the Library meeting. Calendar.
Sure, I'll give a brief update. We held the book sale. They made about $6,500. It's a little less than last year, but remember last year they hadn't had a sale in a couple of years and they had a huge amount of inventory to sell. And so it was still very successful. That's a big fundraiser for us. $6,500 is great. LMZ was there again. My kids really enjoyed it. My kids volunteered again,
Nice,
helping
yeah.
sort books, and they were happy they got to pick a book and everything.
And we were gonna sign up for one visit.
Oh, yeah.
person.
I sent out the schedule to all of you, but since there's only 4 of you here, I guess you get first pick if you're here.
You don't happen to have a schedule,
I can,
whip it up?
Do you know when you're available between now and next June?
I don't know.
well, if we could get someone earmarked for September 9th. That's the next membership meeting for the Friends at 7 p.m.
I thought that's the ones we weren't going to. We were going to the 2 that were not membership meetings. And instead we're going, I missed that.
Well,
Right, because
Because there's not enough of us without going
Yeah,
around.
we were gonna do it every
We were
other
gonna
one.
do 2, we were gonna do 2 and skip 1, 2 and skip, because they have 2 board meetings and then they have a membership meeting. And I thought
there was,
we talked about
At
going
least
to
one
the
that
2
we were
boards
gonna
and
miss.
not going to the
oh, okay,
membership.
well, I go to the membership meeting.
so why should we?
Well, I go to,
She goes to all of them.
actually.
I know,
But,
I'm kidding.
Okay, so what is the membership meeting in September?
Yes,
That's another.
Okay, okay, so why don't we, if we're not, I don't remember, if we don't have that, let's just bring it back on the next agenda with, when we have a calendar and maybe everybody will be back.
I emailed you the list
Oh, I
of
know,
dates,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so, I'm sorry I didn't bring a
No,
calendar,
that's
but
fine.
I thought with looking at it ahead, you might have picked some,
Yeah,
and then I let Susan know, but we can do it over email. It doesn't have to be in the meeting too. Like
Yeah.
we could do that kind of thing in between
yeah,
over
Okay.
email.
okay.
So, and then everyone can participate,
Yeah,
right?
and when does Larry get back?
Not until October.
Yeah, he said he'd miss,
Well, let's put them down
This-
for October then.
sure.
No,
No, yeah, why don't you just put a little,
Is it the
Yeah.
Okay,
second?
finished
Tuesday of
by,
the
I'll
month?
put finished by email.
Yeah.
Their meetings are on Mondays, the second.
The
Monday.
second Monday
Monday.
every month, except August, they're canceling November because of Veterans Day.
okay,
So, but they would like a board ex officio at their meetings. If possible, yeah,
yeah, well, we're trying to make that happen.
thank you.
You may have to send a reminder out.
I'll
Just resend.
resend it and I'll just ask
That's good.
everyone to respond to
Yeah, give
me
us the
and
dates you're
the chair.
available. And then,
At this point in time.
yeah, and then, you can just divvy them up if
Yes.
if there's 2 on the same date, and then you can just sort it out. The sentence asks for the dates that are that one's available. If you only want one date, then that's the one you're available for, and then, we'll allow you to spread them out.
Okay,
Is that agreement with everybody?
Yeah,
sounds,
Or we could get all these surveys that they have on the web now,
Well,
but
that would
I
be
don't
fun.
wanna do that.
no, I figured if I just sent you the list.
Yeah, and we'll send
People
you
could
back,
pick.
we'll send you back ones that are okay with each of us, and then let you assign them.
Okay,
so were we gonna end up doing 2 in the year?
No, just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
so we'll confirm next month's meeting, we'll confirm the person, but we'll in
Nobody
between
for
now and then,
September.
we'll do it over
Yeah.
email,
Yeah,
but then
you'll send an email next week to confirm every appointment.
next
every
month
day,
we'll
yeah.
confirm the person for the following
Yeah.
one. Okay. That sounds good.
Are you in agreement with that, Nandu?
She fell asleep.
She might be doing motherly things, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and the Friends meetings in the library after it closes, so I'm sure they wouldn't mind baby coming.
Hmm.
okay. All right. Now, what do we have? Okay, now we have Digital Navigator Program update.
Yeah, so Brianna attended the meeting, because it was the same time I was at the executive board meeting. And a digital navigator has been hired by the county with some grant funding, and we scheduled the digital navigator to walk through our library, next month. Wait. Yes, Brianna and I were just emailing about the date today. So it'll be a Wednesday in mid-September. The digital navigator will come to North Plains to get sort of oriented to our library, and then we will have we will be on the schedule to have this individual come to help our community with technology needs.
Well,
So
so
it'll
this
be,
is a tech person that will help people set up things.
they will, and they're also, will be able to provide guidance and resources for people who don't have access to internet at home. As well as helping people learn how to use, yeah,
I just haven't
digital, like-
heard that term before, digital.
navigator, and we'll continue our tech help that we're doing.
Okay, that's
So
okay.
it doesn't take the place of that.
Okay, that's gonna ask that.
The focus of this is a little bit more of helping people connecting people with resources for internet, like having internet. There's a lot of low cost ways to get it if you qualify. And then how to some basics.
We have a grant this year, we're.
This is a grant the county got.
Okay, did we have another grant, the continuation of our grant of our computer upgrades?
That we did get another grant for our the second round of the Libraries Transforming Communities Accessible Libraries grant. That's not a technology grant. That's a grant to improve the access for people with disabilities.
Right, and
And
that's not this, this is a
no,
whole different thing.
This is different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So going back to this navigator person.
Yeah.
The people on
Social
this,
Vulnerability Index.
it would be something that would be good for them to come to, so maybe to figure out how they could get cheap internet or how to get inexpensive devices, that kind of stuff, if they were aware that that person was here.
So the county's role is to promote this. They know that it's difficult to, they're adding something for our community, and they're gonna also do the work of promoting it. We will promote it in the library, obviously, but they'll be helping create promotional materials we can share, basically. That's part of the deal with that new department that the county has, Washington County's economic development. For the first time, they have a department.
Wow.
And the county called economic development. They didn't have that before.
Crazy.
But the focus of it is the digital divide right now and the economic development opportunities there. And so partnering with public libraries is one of the first things they did.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so D is progress on hiring community engagement specialist. Did you fill that position, correct?
Yes, so our library assistant 2 role, we had a very competitive applicant pool, including our Emily West. And you're getting ready. I wonder if I can make you bigger.
Won't she get bigger when she starts talking?
Yeah, she will, but I don't know. You all know here in this room know a lot about Emily's work over the years for North Plains, starting as a library assistant 1, and then with the needs that came along with the pandemic when kids weren't in preschool or anything, we really wanted to address that, and we created the early literacy specialist position, mainly because Emily has so many credentials with she's written a book on literacy learning. She has developed curriculum for youth and adults in literacy, and has fantastic classroom management skills, able to really teach literacy through play and fun and that kind of thing. And it's been a huge benefit for our community to have Emily in this role. Well, Emily was interested in working full-time and applied for our full-time vacancy, and Donna assisted us on the panel, as well as someone from WCCLS was on the panel, one of the managers, and it was clear from interviewing Emily that she was very qualified for the community engagement specialist position and was certainly our top candidate, certainly my top candidate, but she wouldn't be able to do the early literacy type work that she was doing. It would leave a huge gap for us if Emily had moved into that position, because that position has volunteer coordination responsibilities. It has it has programming responsibilities for all ages, partnership type things that overlaps with early literacy specialists, but that position wouldn't necessarily be doing story times. Wouldn't it be working with the state on a supercharged story time series that addresses the fact that Oregon is below average for literacy in the US and things like that. And we all agreed that it's really vital to have Emily be able to continue that work for not only us, but countywide, statewide even. Emily's having an impact there. So as this process was going on, another one of our staff members left. Jason Crane got a full-time job at Forest Grove. He's amazing. I'm stealing him back someday. But that departure also gave us a little wiggle room in the budget to be able to propose that Emily's position become full-time.
Oh.
Early literacy specialist. So over to you, Emily. Tell us a little bit about some of your exciting goals in this new role that council approved
Yes.
Monday evening.
Well, I want to thank the city council for approving my early literacy specialist role into a full-time position. I appreciate that so much. And Robin, I want to thank you for advocating for that role and continuing your good work in understanding the needs of the community. That survey that was provided from WCCLS definitely highlights the need of so many underserved. The socially vulnerable is really who I am mainly concerned with. I started my career in adult literacy quite a while ago, and I taught adults under a 6th grade reading level for several years. And what I learned from that is what can happen to good people when they don't have foundational reading skills. It is not great. It can become a real challenge, not only for themselves, but for their families and for their future and for their finances and for their community. So when I'm thinking about literacy, I'm thinking about our strategic plan. I'm seeing our patrons not only as patrons of our library, I'm seeing them as community members. I'm seeing them as family members. I'm seeing them as parents and workers within the North Plains community and beyond for the state of Oregon. So I'm really passionate about the work that I do. And with our strategic plan with lifelong learning and literacy, it really aligns with what I know is important to provide to North Plains. We have always, thanks to Robin, since Robin's been there, we have always provided story time with an emphasis on teaching kids to read. During the pandemic, however, that blew up. And we started teaching kindergarten readiness classes with an emphasis to read. 2019 in person, we had that class, and we had around 1,500 participants, including parents, in person in the library in 2019. And the very next year in 2020, when we went virtual with Zoom, we had over 9,000 in the year participating in that one little class. We expanded that, and throughout those years between 2019 and now, we have served over 30,000 we've had 30,000 people attending our story time and letters classes.
Wow.
It's
That's
just
amazing.
incredible. And with that, we were leaders in the state, thanks to Robin's support. We stood out, and I had the great opportunity to work with our state library. And now we're going to be providing statewide training on a monthly basis for the next 6 months, training library youth workers how to teach literacy skills to those who are underserved, and to help them provide quality educational material, and to ensure that they are prepared to teach kids to be ready to read. I wanted to give you a few, oh, sorry.
Very exciting for me.
I wanted to give you a few statistics that I know Robin and I have discussed. So again, the reason why I started in early literacy is because I had children and I didn't want them to be challenged in school. And so the curriculum that I wrote for adults and the standards reform that I did with adult literacy with the National Institute for Literacy really helped me to write curriculum for children to prepare them to be successful in their education and beyond. You were talking about the 2020 census. We know from the 2020 census in Washington County that only 30% of children ages 3 to 5 had availability to a daycare or preschool system or school. And that included Head Start. So we have a lot of socially vulnerable families that do not have access to preschool. One of the things that helps North Plains stand out again is we see the library as the filler, the bridge to that gap. If families cannot provide preschool because of funding or there is not access, how fabulous would it be that a library can provide that for free? We are not a daycare. We are not, going to keep their kids all day, but we sure can provide them literacy skills that are going to help them be prepared for school.
And they get really excited about it when Emily teaches it.
I have a lot of fun. We keep it really fun and engaging.
Yeah.
And something I wanted to share with City Council, and I will put this in our city newsletter if they permit, is that I was doing some research, and the nation gives a national report card. They assess, children's report cards on the testing statewide in every state. And the 2022 National Assessment of Education report card found that 70% of 8th graders, that's across the nation, and 68% of 4th graders across the nation scored below proficient in reading and math. And for Oregon, it was even lower by several points. In a typical classroom, that's about 17 out of 25 children who are struggling to read at a foundational level. That is the circumstances throughout the nation and in Oregon. So in my literacy work at North Plains, thank you to Robin and thank you to the City Council. And at the state level, I know that our Friends Board, I know that everyone involved understands the incredible impact that our public libraries can make on a young children's literacy skills and on their lives. But we also need to teach their parents how to do these things at home so that they're learning what we do in the library. It's free, it's accessible. We're providing them with tools and techniques that they can take home and then teach their children the same thing at home to continue the learning at home. That is where the rubber meets the road. That's where learning is going to occur truly. So I'm excited to work in a few projects. The Oregon State Library has provided me the opportunity to work with our youth services consultant to provide these train the trainer kind of classes throughout the end of 2024 through 2025 to help library youth workers learn more about literacy skills. We're also going to do in North Plains a local same kind of thing, kind of like a cohort course where we're going to be bringing in early literacy specialists and along with myself co-facilitating for parents. And
that's one of Emily's first priorities in this new role is
yes,
the parent education piece that we haven't had time to do.
Yes, we're going to be doing the parent education piece. So we're really not only emphasizing the how-to, which is the most important, but also the research behind it, the backing behind it, the educationally sound research that's going to help parents to really communicate to teachers and beyond what their children need and how they learn. We're also going to bring back a really important program that was very successful during the pandemic, actually, which is our OBOB program, which is really going to be addressing those kiddos who are older and still in elementary school, where they get to discuss an Oregon Battle of the Books Club. That is a really fun program that is operated through an organization that chooses 16 titles, really great books for kids that are from 3rd grade all the way up to 12th grade. And then they create basically a group to compete against other groups to read the books and answer quiz questions and win awards for being awesome because they read and because they comprehend what they're reading. And I'm really excited to bring that back into our library as well. We had a lot of people joining that monthly during the pandemic. So there's a lot of fun things along the way. I'm also excited just to work with our patrons and help them find a great book or a great movie. I just love what libraries offer. I grew up in the library. My dad died when I was 5 of cancer, and my mom was one of those socially vulnerable and had to work a lot. And so when you bring up time, my mother didn't have a lot of time to go to the library, but I sure did. I was alone a lot of the time in the summer, and that was my safe haven. That was my safe place, and I felt really special in the library. So I'm very, very honored to have the opportunity to be there with you all in that library in my favorite city in the world.
Okay. Well, congratulations, Emily. We are
Yes,
the fortunate ones that have you full time, and can't wait till you're back, but enjoy the rest of your vacation. And thank you for telling us about it and sharing it with the board.
And you thank the council for their
Yes,
support too.
and thank you to the
Yeah.
council for the support of this. I wanted you to have the chance to hear Emily Monday, but I bumbled through it, and now, you know.
Well, I can certainly relay the enthusiasm.
Yay.
So.
That's what Sheldon got to hear it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
That's
much.
right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Glad to have you on board wholly, so.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you all, and can't wait to continue working with all of you.
And I'll just, the final thing I'll add is that we are able to do this within our current personnel budget with the kind of the reallocating that I said. We're basically taking 1 FTE from our part-time bucket.
Yeah.
And we're adding about half an FTE to, okay.
No, you have
Basically
FTE that left.
So
Wasn't Jason full-time?
Emily currently comes out of the part-time bucket. We're not replacing those hours in the part-time
So
bucket.
Jason was half-time?
Yeah, Jason was a part-time staff. So we're reducing our part-time bucket budget by about 55%, not just like 50%. And anyway, so it comes out about a wash financially. I wanted to have a little graph for you, but
It's okay.
I've been my role's been a little interesting since Andy left. It's expanded a bit, I'll just say. I'm not complaining. I'm learning a lot, but
Well,
you know,
we appreciate
have a lot of
it. Sounds like you came up with an opportunity and creatively improved the operation, so.
Yeah,
Hats off to
very
you.
good.
I like doing that.
Hats off to the city
Yeah.
council again for supporting the change.
But I will say that we were able to hire a newer professional, Jenny Perez, as our community engagement specialist, library assistant too. She's bilingual in Spanish and is our first, I think, fully bilingual in English and Spanish city staff person, as far as I know. And we'll be the only, we will. Well, currently,
yes, right.
That was a gap with our city staffing. And so I'm very pleased on a lot of levels, very enthusiastic individual, who starts Friday for for like a 2-hour, I'm going to be the HR person on Friday, do all the paperwork, onboarding stuff with Jenny. And then Jenny will have a Tuesday through Saturday schedule. Jason worked on Saturdays where gonna have a full-time person now who works on Saturday, so that'll be
What did
good.
Jason, but did he work the desk or?
Jason worked every Saturday and on Wednesdays. He had a big mustache, do you remember? Maybe you never met him.
Very personable.
Very personable.
Yes.
But did he work the desk
Yes.
basically?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And he got a job at Forest Grove for that full-time benefited job there, because he started working here and loved working in libraries
He's never
so
worked in a
much.
library
He
before,
had
right?
never worked in a library before. It
Right.
blew everyone away because he's more well-read than any library staff
Yeah.
person I give to you.
Yes, yes.
I mean,
And he's had a
Incredible.
variety of jobs. It's amazing.
yeah, and he lives in North Plains. I'm getting it back, I'm telling
Yeah.
you. We're
Well,
gonna
he
take it back.
has to be back.
Well, someday. I told him like, if he's still on play, he's working this Saturday for us.
Yeah.
Because he still stayed on call until we
Yeah.
got staffed up, which was also extremely wonderful of him.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Nice.
Well, try and come in Saturday and say goodbye to him.
Yeah, yeah. He'll be around town. He already knows Miss Kim real well, I guess he said. Like, he knows that she likes him. Miss Kim likes
that's-
Jason. That's another reason we need to get him back.
Then it goes
Oh,
forward.
Okay.
I
He
mean,
likes me too.
our convenience store.
I don't know if she does, but she's just.
And I'm not saying that's why she likes
She's
him. I'm just,
always very nice to me. And I don't go in there very often. Every time I go, she's. really
we have a wonderful community and staff, so, all right, I will stop talking. Okay. Yeah, so that was the end of that update on the hiring,
Great.
so
Very good. Good
started,
job.
yeah. We had, because Emily was able to have this role, we were able to hire Jenny, and get.
Worked out.
Yeah,
great.
it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna
Donna-
have great new staff.
And Donna was able to meet Jenny as
Yes,
panelist
right.
and.
I'm looking forward to her. She was quite enjoyable to interview. so,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
as was Emily.
now we're on the Friends of the Library update, but we've done that.
Oh, no,
No?
we passed that, that was B and now we just did D,
Oh, okay.
just. And I kind of already went into
I
A
thought A
because,
was what we just.
Right.
oh, we did D.
Well, we
Because
kinda did.
I started out talking about the panel for the community engagement
Oh,
specialist and then
okay.
how it went to.
So isn't that A? Didn't you just go over that?
Well, because of the timing, we were gonna have library board before the council meeting,
Oh,
but we didn't have a quorum, and so we didn't meet
oh,
before the council meeting, and now it's like,
After the fact.
it is not proposed any longer, it is
It's
now
done.
Yeah.
done.
So
Yeah.
cross that
However-
one out. Done.
I was last week review the proposal that the city council was gonna have. Now the city council has already approved it, and you just heard kind of the
yeah, I see.
part, sorry about that, but that's just kind of what happens when
Yeah.
we don't meet.
When I pull out at the last one.
That's okay. But I will say that I already sort of covered that.
That's what I thought, that's what,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you covered the Friends Library update already.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
That's what
well,
you
no,
guys
this
said.
was scheduled.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
Kinda-
So you just.
I got 'em.
together.
I just saw
Basically,
friends.
when I read it, it's Russ's turn.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
yes, yes.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Emily, you welcome to stay.
You're welcome to stay if you're interested, it might be kind of late there.
Or you
Oh,
can
it
go.
is.
Yeah, I'm,
You can have a nice day on the beach.
It's 10 o'clock there.
yes, it's 3 hours ahead, so I think
Yeah,
I,
we should let you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well,
Thank
we're
you.
excited for the changes that are occurring in the library.
Yes.
And we wish you well.
thank you so much.
soon.
I will see you very soon, all of you. Thank you again.
Okay.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
Okay,
So ex officio, sure. We've been pretty busy. We've been drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
I think most of you know that. We just obviously approved the resolution that we've heard about already, so that action's been taken. And we're coming up on a few things that are probably going to be a little contentious. That's our appointment for our relook committee for our UGB. That actually will happen the day after Labor Day at our city council meeting. So we have a pretty good slate of folks who we've had some people
What we gonna, excuse me, what
Yeah.
are we gonna be represented on that? Or-
Yeah, you and I talked about it in the agenda meeting that
Right.
we were gonna, see about, who from the library board and
Right,
who lives in town might want
Yeah.
to do that, but the three of you here
Don't want me to be
today
out of town.
aren't in town,
Right.
and,
Okay. so you'll have a library board position and then we'll need to fill it?
To my knowledge, that is correct,
Okay,
unless something's changed that I'm
Yeah.
not aware of.
yeah,
yeah,
okay, good,
so,
That was the plan.
yeah,
We had a pretty good matrix of the folks that we wanted to involve.
yeah.
And
And-
you've already interviewed them, because this is coming. up.
Well,
So you
it's-
interviewed them. It's not an interview.
No, it's more of an application and choosing from that application based upon folks that are best suited, at least in staff's opinion.
Okay, so there's parameters based on the
Yeah.
application.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
I mean, there was some criterion by which we want to select people because we do want it to be inclusive.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we want to make sure it's representative of not only the bodies, but also of, the folks who actually pay the bills in the city and our city residents and our voters. Which, I mean, we've had a lot of complaints from outside folks about what we do here. So, we are going to include some of those voices. And I think that give us what I would consider to be a fairly well-rounded body to make some recommendations. And there's going to be a number of meetings. There's going to be a lot of homework for those folks and participation in that to arrive at a consensus to bring a recommendation back to the council. We don't know exactly when that'll be, but it's going to happen over a number of months. So, there's some things that are kind of yet to be determined. But most of what they're going to be looking at, I think we've got a pretty fair idea. We've already been through this process. So in a lot of ways, it's a relook, truly. So
but our representative needs to be from
Right, so it
inside the
can
city?
be Ally, Nandu, or Larry.
Oh, okay,
And so, we had talked about, asking Ally because of she's been a part of the North Plains community, her whole life. And
Yeah.
then she would, as a teacher,
Sure.
and a community member and a library supporter, she would have I think a really valuable perspective, but because we moved the meeting date, she's at back to school night tonight and
Right.
couldn't be here.
okay, so
So,
we'll
How
bring
much
it,
time
we
is
can
gonna
bring
be
it up,
involved?
we can bring it up next.
No,
Meeting, or do
because
we have
it's
to
gonna
wait?
be
well,
Deciding
next
next.
month.
I'll work with those who are, qualified to make sure that, we have somebody.
Larry'd be good.
yeah, we're
I
going to
don't-
basically pick from the slate of the recommendations.
Right.
So
So,
we're in a policy role, right? We're going to make the decision once it's presented
mhm.
by the staff at the meeting, and everything should be in order by that time. I'm pretty certain it will be.
Yeah, I guess I misunderstood, I thought you were gonna
I
make
don't
a
think Nancy-
position for us, but we didn't have to have the
We
person
may not have somebody.
named by that.
Well, we'll probably, yeah. I presume we can leave that placeholder there if we don't have a designated person,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure
So
we're gonna
when
have
is
somebody step
when's the
up.
next meeting for this, UGB
Uh,
thing?
Well, the relook advisory committee appointment will be made on September, I believe it's 3rd,
Oh,
Really soon. Yeah.
Tuesday,
Tuesday, September 3rd. Yes. Yeah, so it's coming up right after Labor Day.
Okay,
yeah.
So we meet Tuesday night. Mhm.
okay.
So if we had somebody, a candidate, we would
Mhm.
have to tell them like immediately. then.
So have you talked to Ally?
I hadn't had a chance to talk to her, yeah, I'm not, I don't think Larry's interested.
Well, he's not back till.
Well,
And
we
he's
can ask Nandu,
Gone.
she's right there.
Nandu,
Hello?
Yeah, you, are you there?
what was that?
No, I don't think I can.
You don't think you can?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that, I just wanted a little more information to give Ally about the time and so forth, but I have the application information, so.
Yeah, and I think there is some sense of time commitment. You might have to check with Bill on that.
Right,
Because they were trying to get an estimate of, okay, what are we looking at
right,
in terms of a time commitment? Because it won't just be a meeting or two.
right.
It'll be several meetings over months.
And the last one was years, but
Yes.
it was the same, so I wasn't sure exactly what to tell Ally with, I didn't want to scare her off.
Well, it shouldn't be too task saturated.
Right.
There's going to be some homework involved, but the meeting time, yeah, those meeting times are gonna be a couple hour meetings each.
Right,
So. Yeah, the exact framework that may even change. We've done a lot of the work already. Some of it's just re-looking at it.
mhm.
And but it is a commitment.
Yeah, if it's not possible, I think it'll still be a well-rounded group, even if we don't have a library board specific person.
Yeah, our goal was
on
to
it.
have that and.
But-
Let me ask you this question. I heard you say you were gonna take some people from outside the,
We do,
Okay.
97133,
yes,
and that position may already be filled. I don't know how many applicants they had for that position.
but
I know they were working on,
No.
there were multiple people who applied. So
How
that,
did they know to apply?
it was sent out.
Yeah,
It
it's
was,
been at the library at the front
I guess
counter.
what I'm asking is, if we can't find one of our board members local within the city.
yes,
As we have us three here are out, could we,
conceivably you could be
We
considered
could-
in that group if they basically haven't already narrowed it down based on the criterion.
okay,
That would be something I would say Robin would have to possibly talk with Bill. I
Right.
know he's back now.
Yes, he just got back.
So, I don't know exactly where he's at with the matrix and some of those things
Yeah.
and the criterion, the goal was to have it finished
Mhm.
up this week.
Yeah. The last he told me I had to be in town, but maybe
well, if we can't.
Maybe it's,
I mean, I would
possible.
say we would attempt, but we're a board that's,
Well, I think there'll be a lot
50-50.
of competition for 97133.
yeah,
yeah,
And the reason why I say that's because there's obviously been a number of vocal people who
sure,
live even a considerable distance, 97133. When I started, I was in 97124, which was actually Hillsborough. And before that, it was a Cornelius Rural Road.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's true.
yeah. And so when I moved into town, that changed with a new post office. They resituated the postal addresses and, it was common that Pumpkin Ridge was Cornelius.
We have 3 different addresses and we haven't moved.
Right,
3
exactly.
Yeah.
So postal codes change, but there's folks out there. I mean, that's really the point. There's a lot of interest. So I think that probably in the applications is probably the heaviest. So,
Well, because it does affect us,
well, sure.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, well, and we're not excluding that.
Yeah,
And it isn't, the criterion wasn't set up to exclude anybody specifically, but we wanted folks who
sure, I get
have
that,
been
yeah.
rooted in our area
Yeah.
longer than folks who, are way outside of it, let's say in Helvetia, Hillsborough, Gresham, Portland, beyond.
Gresham.
Right.
Oh,
Because
my
there's
goodness.
been,
Yeah.
there's been interest there,
Yeah.
so,
absolutely.
I think just being
People get
mindful
offended.
of meeting our criterion and, so I can't say it's out of the question, but
Yeah,
that's gonna
Okay.
be definitely a very competitive spot, so.
Yeah, Bill has a spot earmarked for us if we can fill
Yes.
it, but it won't be the end of the world if we can't, so don't feel.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
No.
and truly, think about it this way. That doesn't mean you don't have a voice. You can attend those
Absolutely.
meetings.
Absolutely.
They're public meetings, so
Yeah.
it's not like you're really excluded. Because you're sitting on the advisory board, sure, it has a little more weight because the board's gonna make a recommendation. But that doesn't mean you don't have a voice. You can go and you can
Yeah.
listen and you can provide input.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, other things going on, one of the things that I'm certain someone will approach you about is the possible endorsement of the incumbents who are running. We have an election coming up, November 5th. And so we have 4 positions. The mayor position is open, which I'm running for. Terry Linehan, the current mayor, is running for council. The spot that Butch occupies, he is rerunning for council. Cameron is not rerunning for council, but we recruited Lisa Fry from our community to run for council. So we all have been certified at the elections office. And then there's 4 other opponents. So
You can see a list online of all the.
there's a list online, but I know that our group, I should say, the North
Yesterday.
Plains group will be looking for endorsements from people on the boards, and anybody can endorse. You don't have to live in town to endorse somebody.
just can't
So
vote.
someone will be reaching out, and I think relatively soon. I think those endorsements, they'd like to have somebody from each of our boards and commissions. Not everybody needs to, but that would be, I think, due, I believe it's September 9th. So it'll come pretty quickly. Someone will reach out,
Okay,
probably via email, but we're all looking for support. We're experienced folks. The people that are running, we're not sure exactly what they're running for. We're not saying they're bad people. It's just, I think that it's for them, it's perhaps a single item motive. We don't really know yet, but we're looking for support. We're experienced. We've been in the leadership positions, and we want, most of us want to continue that. So
is the 4 people sort of like they've done on the school boards around here, where it's a unified group, or is it 4 individuals?
well, we're going to run as individuals, but we are going to run as a group. We're going to call ourselves North Plains First.
Okay.
So we'll have our own messaging. We'll have our own campaign. We'll coordinate that campaign because we see ourselves as incumbents. Lisa Fry comes to us from the Economic Development Commission. She's been on that since it was founded, and she stepped up. And it's not an easy thing to do, to step up for that role. And we asked several people, and people that have been involved in our committees, and she was willing to do it. So
how about the other 4? Are they just individuals?
the other 4 are individuals, but to my knowledge, they've formed a group that I think is for North Plains.
Oh, okay.
We did look at the official site today in Orstar, where you register, and so we think there'll be a pack from for North Plains. There could be another derivative of that. How they're going to market and campaign, we don't know. We've seen a few things out there, but they haven't really revealed it.
Okay.
At least in my opinion, they're no growth advocates.
Okay.
That's my guess. I don't know what else they're going to run on. We don't really know that yet.
Okay.
And they are running, and they're sponsored by the Friends of North Plains Smart Growth.
Oh,
All
okay.
4 of those candidates.
Okay.
And I don't know what they had to pledge, but they had to pledge something to them, some allegiance of some kind. What that involves, I don't really know.
Okay.
We're not really privy to that, so that'll probably come out.
Should come out in the campaign, I would think.
I would think so, yes. Yeah, so more on that. But
Yeah, it closed yesterday. Our city recorder posted a list of the candidates on our website at the close
yeah,
of business
so
yesterday.
yeah.
Because she knew people wanted to know right away, and then there'll be
Okay, so
more
what
information.
basically what I was interested is there's still a contention within the community between the
Oh,
groups.
sure, of course.
That's not gonna go away.
Yeah, there's no question.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we don't know yet, what the motives would be. We're only guessing.
Yeah.
So
But-
that'll reveal itself, but I can honestly say that if the Friends of North Plains are supporting them behind and bringing in financial support for them to run a campaign. It'll probably be run as a PAC.
Yeah,
And they'll run as a candidate of four. And, you know, we're going to run a clean campaign. We're experienced folks. We have a lot of leadership. We have a lot of hours under our belt, a lot of years under our belt. All of us have served this city.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're going to spread that message. And, you know, there's another group that I think wants to fight that group. They can do whatever they want to do. We're not going to be part of that.
My
So it should
goodness.
be interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
But there's a lot of interest because of our growth, you know, the whole growth.
yeah,
So
right.
I think that's what's precipitated
Okay,
those candidates. I think it's clear, although we don't really know.
yes.
So we have an election coming up. Probably more importantly, we do have another slate of things that we'd like to get done before the end of the year, regardless of how the election goes. One is the hiring of a city manager.
Right,
So
That would be a good
we
thing.
do know that we have probably somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 20.
Oh my
candidates.
gosh.
Oh.
Yeah,
The last update I heard was 9, but I knew that was like a few
Are
weeks
they all
ago.
qualified?
well,
Or have we gone
that'll
through
be
that far
vetted
yet?
through the organization that we've contracted with.
Oh, okay.
And then ultimately, we'll probably see somewhere, it sounds like greater than 10
Oh my
for an
goodness.
initial round of
Uh-huh.
not really interviews, but vetting.
Yeah,
And then we'll probably, I'm thinking that'll happen before, well, it's gonna happen, it'll happen before the election. Yeah,
It better.
I
Sorry.
yeah, we may have a city manager. So it just depends on the speed of the process.
Right.
So we'll get some finalists and then bring them forward into the community. And, you know, these are the folks that we want to interview as a community, and the community will be involved in that
so
process.
have applications been closed?
I believe they're closed, yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
you have 20 candidates. that-
So, yeah, I
Moving
think the
forward.
number was north of 20, it
Oh,
might have been
okay.
21.
Yeah.
But how many are vetted out by the firm that we hired based on the criterion? I mean, some of those are probably underexperienced, this would be my guess, or not a good fit for
Yeah.
the reasons in the criterion, but
or-
we're
or-
closer.
Or they're all great, you have to take the cream. the
Yeah,
cream.
right. Well,
That's right.
Whatever the
having
reason
choices
is.
is a good thing.
Yeah.
It is a great
They'll
thing.
only send you so
And
many.
we want to find, yeah, we want to find a good fit for our
Right.
community and for our staff. We have a very professional. We've been progressive here. We don't want to make any steps backwards, so we want to hire the right fit, and takes a village, right? So
Yeah.
we'll get there, and
Right.
I'm pretty confident we'll do that relatively quickly. So
That's great to hear. I
Very
haven't
good.
heard an update lately, so that's great.
yeah, and beside that, we've got another 2 or 3 things that we might get accomplished by the first of the year, but we're continuing on. We've got things like the Joint Water Commission agreement. We've got to tackle that. That's an agreement between us and the Joint Water Commission to get water from Hillsborough. We're looking at alternatives to that as well, because the question becomes, well, if you only got one place to go for water, then what happens if you can't get that one, right? You get the political fight, and pretty soon the pipeline's cut off. Well, we're looking at aquifer storage and recovery for up to 100 million gallons of water. And we have pumps. We can pump water to a certain degree, so we're looking at alternatives for that. We're looking at that recovery system, and
where would that even be
it'd
located?
be pumped right in the ground here in town. Into the ground, deep
Well,
into the ground.
yeah, and get the aquifer there. I didn't realize you could just.
Yep.
You don't have to contain it in some manner?
No, it's contained in the aquifer. Yeah, it's pretty geologically sound.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
but I do, I'm thinking like Palm Springs, there's a huge aquifer under there, that whole thing, that's.
Well, we have more
That was not
aquifers
that
around
big.
than you realize, so
Good darn.
utilizing that,
I don't think there's somebody pumping water into it, but just
Right.
putting water.
well, we want to pump some in because ideally, if we could have 45 days of reserve water,
Oh,
we
sure.
could probably take, you never want to say in a natural disaster, what's gonna happen, but if you have a means to access that water,
The
and we're not
climate's
cut off
changing.
from the supply,
Mm.
then, it's just a good contingency to have as a
Yeah,
city.
absolutely.
They're doing a lot of that in California.
Yeah.
They're actually trying to raise the land back up.
By refilling the aquifers.
Yeah.
I just didn't
Yeah.
realize that we had a bunch of that under here,
We do.
that we've drained somehow or another.
Well, and it's something that's been ongoing for a while.
natural.
I mean, that's something the city, Mr. Varner, Andy Varner explored. It was something that he brought up and we said, yeah, we need to look at this. So we did the surveys and the studies and we're moving along those lines. So it's kind of part and parcel with, we got our water from Hillsborough. Hillsborough's, obviously, you may know that the Willamette water system is about $1 billion project that they're moving water, moving it out of the Willamette River, out of basically at Wilsonville. It'll enter into the system and go into several treatment facilities, and it's going to be pumped up all the way up to Hillsborough. So there's several cities that are part of the Joint Water Commission. Hillsborough's the primary city, but and we get our water from Hillsborough. So we want to look at other water partners too, and we've done that. So these are things that I think we can accomplish, and we'll try to get that done. And but there's a slate of other things that we want to get done that are more minor. We need to clean up some of our code.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and we want to clean up some of the council rules. I don't know that we'll get that done before January. We'd like to, but there's a host of things that we're making progress on. And that's, it's encouraging because a lot of times when you have an interim city manager, you don't can make that kind of
Right.
progress.
Right.
And Rob Drake is pretty experienced. So, we got to keep the train on the tracks and not get too distracted. And I think we'll be able to accomplish those things. So there's other things in the works, and we want to stay on track with our goals and our objectives.
Right. How's your public works building? Is it on schedule, on time?
Everything is on schedule.
Pretty
Yeah.
nice looking building.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fantastic piece of infrastructure
Mhm.
for this community for years to come.
Yeah, very
Something
nice.
we will be able to grow into and take advantage of and have emergency operations center activities. We have some additional facilities. So when we actually do get into the later phases of a civic center plan, which we're also working on, which would involve a civic center, expansion of library, all of those kinds of things take time and money, right?
Right.
So that building is probably going to be the most visible sign of improvement in our infrastructure since we've done Jesse Mays Park, really.
Yeah.
And that was a success, if you ask me.
Yeah, and we just met about that today. You can see on the board there, we had a department head meeting today talking about who might be located at the new building and how we could use the space over here and
Pub safety?
Public, public safety.
yeah,
Like my-
because of the secure parking over
Yeah.
there, we're it's been floated to have our police relocate to the new
Oh.
building, which
That makes sense.
we think is a sensible
Yeah.
thing to do. Anyway, yeah, so we were,
Yeah, it's big. It's be a big resource,
yes,
a fallback, and
it'll be great.
it should be some signs to some people progress. I mean, we were thankful to get a sizable grant from
Yeah.
the state that's paying for basically 85% of that
Yeah.
facility.
Wow. See, that's the information you need to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The state is paying 85% of that.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and
That's what
and
people
that would have
want.
went somewhere
Somebody
else,
else paid for
so,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work on behalf of the mayor.
Yes.
With our state representative at the
Uh-huh.
time, and those connections are pretty important.
Yeah.
So we want to keep those connections going, because we want to sliver that pie too. We don't want to be left out,
Yeah.
and we have other needs, but
Is, Terry's, is she not allowed to run, or she's chosen? not to
no,
run?
she's chosen not to run.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I think she's running as a council.
Yeah, she's running
Yeah.
for city council.
Right, I
Yeah,
just didn't
I
know
think
if you had a
she-
term limit on when I was asked.
No,
there,
there's no term limits.
Yeah, just-
There should be.
Well,
Just saying,
some
not everything.
councils have term limits, some do not. Arguably, I mean, that's a point we could argue, not necessarily argue, but discuss. Ultimately, the voters are the arbiters, and they decide if your term's limited or not.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
that's fair. That's
true.
Yeah, and that's of course my philosophy, so that's different than other people's philosophy, and I haven't wavered from that much, even at, not only at this level, but other levels too. So there was a lot of intent by our founding fathers about offices in terms of.
I didn't mean to
offices,
get
all those-
on your
No,
soapbox.
nope, so,
Yeah.
nobody's proposed that, I don't expect that'll be, coming up, but, I think that kind of wraps up where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And,
Thank you.
we certainly appreciate all the efficiencies that we can get, because we don't have a plethora of wealth here,
Mhm.
and we use our money wisely, and it's nice to have folks who understand that that's a precious resource, and it's kind of finite, because we didn't get a public safety issue passed,
Yeah.
and, people feel safe enough, but to me, public safety is number one, libraries right there. So, having the levels of services we provide is important to our community. I mean, that's all we got, right?
Yeah.
So,
That was excellent, so we thank you there, Russ. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking time to
Mhm.
explain, even though none of us in the room can vote.
Yeah.
We appreciate
He's
it.
trying to get us to.
You're still part of the
more
community.
staff.
Yeah,
Well, someone's gonna ask you.
Yeah.
For sure.
we appreciate it. Do you have one more thing?
There's just one more agenda item.
Oh, scheduling the next
Good of the
meeting.
order.
No,
Good of the order, general announcement.
Oh, the good of the order, general announcement.
I do have one thing. My one thing is that the library's boiler for heating system replacement is finished.
No,
I want to thank Counselor Sheldon, who helped us review the bids, and choose the, Jim Ellis Mechanical is wonderful to work with. They completed it. He showed me how it works, and, it's quiet as a mouse. Remember how rackety that
Yes.
other one was?
So
Okay.
it's still a boiler system because it's in the floor,
It is.
because you still have the floor heat.
We do.
Yes,
We
yeah.
were able to get it down to 2 zones instead of 5, which was very strange for a building that size, I guess. And then we had like an instant hot water heater. Now we have an actual normal boiler.
no.
Anyway,
So since he taught you how to work, and Councilman
I learned-
talks about people taking other routes, and are you our repairman too now?
no, actually, I asked Ellis Mechanical for a proposal for the ongoing maintenance,
Yeah.
because I feel like as the installer, I
They
would
should know,
like
yeah.
them to maintain
Mhm.
it. And I was happy with, the work, and so forth. There's just one issue with the backflow. We need like a part, but Javier is helping get that sorted out.
Good.
And electric. We got lights, have you noticed the difference? in the
Yes,
lights?
this was a while back that this was in the works, but through the Energy Trust of Oregon, we had our lights replaced for free.
Oh,
So the parking lot lights inside the library, they couldn't do all of them. Cause some of our fixtures, we would have to they could
Redo.
only do the ones that were we didn't have to do rewiring as part of this project, but. Most of the city hall and library lights have been replaced through Energy Trust of Oregon.
Did it change over in the children's area?
So with the ones with the glass things, they didn't change.
That's one I can't.
Oh no,
They're pretty,
it is, it should be a little brighter.
Flashlight, you know.
But that was a wonderful, Andy got that going before he left,
Oh, nice.
and all the outside of the library, all those lights,
Oh, that's nice.
Great.
And the Christmas lights, no, just kidding.
parking lights, but that was fantastic and,
Good.
So our future meeting is
Oh,
September 18th.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and hopefully I know Larry will be away, but hopefully we'll be able to have everybody else.
Okay.
And,
I move that we adjourn.
okay.
Okay. Thank you, Nandu.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully
Maybe-
next time I'll be
Right.
coming there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
See you next month, or this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Next.
Very good.